Good morning, teacher. How's it? Evening, afternoon, what have you? Obviously, as you can see from what I'm wearing, and obviously what I just said, is obviously this one's going to come with a twist for you all today. It's a high school tag video. But before I begin, and you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm hoping that whatever reason you landed on my page today will bring out some information about me or some form of education or what have you that you would like to do. So it has been put to my attention that, kids will be going back to school soon, and I thought just to jazz it up a bit on my channel, even though, yeah, okay, I'm an adult now, I wholly apologize in advance, but I thought just to bring this tag video into it because, as we know, high school is something that we usually, tend to go through, or we've all going through at this present time, or we've been through it already. So I thought basically with this tag-based video, do it for fun for me, myself included, and for others that I might want to shout out to today to talk about our high school experiences. Some may be good, bad, and ugly of the experiences that we've been through. I don't know. But it will give us a general broad idea about what life was like for us, and hopefully in saying this that you'll learn more about us. Even so, this has 20 questions about at all, from the basics of high school to some of the more crazy things you've done in high school. So why not you join me and do this for the ones that are watching this video? Maybe we can do it with a friend, but today, as you can see, I'm on my lonesome, so I'll be doing it on myself with these 20 questions, so bear with me. So let's begin this. Tag questions also will be listed below in the description for anyone that wants to participate, so we can learn from each other, and hopefully in saying this that we can just go for it. Okay, number one is, what grade? Well, as you know, I'm an adult. I left high school pretty much early when I was basically, young. I left at the age of 16. I studied at a polytech, which they still classify that as high school, when I was 17. So therefore, basically, in 2000, let's see, I think it was 2004 or 5, I left high school, hearsay. So, and began my studies at Polytech in about 2005 or 6 for the health science and technology before I went into the other bits and pieces that I've done. What is your favourite subject? Or what were your favourite subjects? My favourite subjects were, at the time when I was at school, basically were science, English, and French. Obviously, even though, many people may think, despite our everyday task force of learning everyday languages, that we won't be able to. So anything science related was my part, my jam, as well as English, since I used to ace it. What cliques are there in your school? The cliques in the school are probably the norms, like for many high schools. From what I can recall, there were nerdies, brainiacs, scientific, musicians that had the skill, drama kings and queens, you name it, we had it. Clique or group were you or are you in? I wasn't in any of the groups, even though, I was a silent one. I tried to keep to myself because I didn't want to cause any hassles, because obviously with my day in school, some of it was bad because I got bullied to the point that, yes, I was new and people looking at me strangely because of the thing, and I knew dead right and centre dead in my terrible teens life that I knew something wasn't right and I was different to the rest of them. What subject do you hate the most and why? The subject that I used to hate the most was pretty much just physics, even though I couldn't get to grips with it, and some other one was obviously, in saying this, is basically, even though it was part of the curriculum, we had to learn a different language, which is Māori, even though they may reckon that Māori here in New Zealand is a dead language. Not many people will learn it. And obviously, how I believe right now that even though it should be reinforced in schools right now for kids to learn Māori, it should have just started at the home when they were growing up with the values and morals, similar context to anything else that's instilled in us, even though people may think, school shouldn't be saying. Number 6, describe what you wear to school or your uniform. Well, this varies from time to time, obviously, for us, especially with our uniform. even though this is not kind of like a uniform as I'm showing you, it's usually a plain white kind of blouse with a blue skirt, basically. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll drag you down. Kind of like this kind of fashion, blue pleated skirt. And then sometimes in saying this, besides the white blouse, with some prefix wearing bow ties and whatnot, or shall I say just standard ties and blazers, we would wear some polo shirts for summer. In winter, however, it changes it up. You can have also, and for guys, obviously, for summer, it will be black navy shorts or trousers like us females, wearing the shorts and trousers of that color. But in my jurisdiction, also, in saying this, we also jazzed it up in winter with a woolen jumper with the logo of our high school versus basically a polo neck kind of skivvy or turtleneck skivvy that was white from memory. I could be wrong. I can't seem to remember where I put all my high school photos, so I wish I could show you those if you wanted to see what I looked like. Also, another one is in high school. I remember back in the days we used to have once or twice per term after day that sometimes we had to pay for. I think from memory, sometimes it was for free, sometimes I think depending where I was, because obviously when I was in my teen years, I remember that we were moving around a lot in some parts, especially where I'm now. But my usual standard style for dressing up, if I was in math, they would have just been my casual kind of style, you know, with my jeans and t-shirt or something. Or sometimes I'll wear a dress now and again, as well as a dressy top and skirt, which I'm doing right nowadays, trying to jazz it up. Who are your best friends at your school, or who were they? As we know, people come and people go. So my best friend was basically at the time a guy that I was getting to know when I was in learning support. So obviously back in the days in high school, I was in learning support for at least 2-3 weeks prior, because they had to figure out what, you know, grades or what subjects to put me into, sort of thing, regardless of my subject choices that I don't think would deem fit for me anyway, even though there was some parts I missed in some cases also about how I would go about it. And my best friend in this would be Aaron, and I didn't have many friends obviously at school, but it's kind of funny now as I'm growing up, maturing, and when people do tend to change, you know, back in the days, and they get hold of you, you know, after all the days of some of them come and go, some may be in contact with me through Facebook at the moment, just to, you know, apologize for the troubles that they caused for me in school. Despite it all, that, you know, people don't deserve to be bullied, regardless what their reasoning is, even though we know that sometimes it could be their insecurities or something going on in their home and they thought maybe to do it out. Anyway, enough of that one, even though I'm just giving you guys the brief background lowdown of my life at school was like, which can be a bit emotional sometimes for me to bring out, but I thought to bring it out anyway. How many subjects do you do and what are they? Or what ones did you do when you were at school? I remember back in the days, I was hoping, like, when I was in QEC, when I was acing through school, I had about 7 subjects at a time. And in saying this, I was hoping to do night school, because night school here in New Zealand, I believe, would have been still a good idea, especially for solo mums or people that couldn't study during the day because maybe they're working or whatever else it may be for their reasoning behind having this night school. My basic kind of stuff that we do in school was NCA, obviously at high school, or in preparation for those 3 levels of NCA, 1, 2 and 3, which basically were science, maths, computers. Number 9, are you or have you ever been a teacher's pet? I believe in this, yes, I would have been a teacher's pet, because obviously I was always getting asked if I was doing my work and whatnot, and sometimes in saying this, I would have probably got given extra work just to keep myself busy, especially when I was ahead in class. because obviously at the end of the day, how I look at it, you know, many teachers obviously tend to learn from your learning style habits versus their teaching style habits and whatnot, even though there shouldn't be such a thing of a teacher's pet, that all students should be created as equal. Number 10. Are you or were you part of your school band, choir, musical society, etc., etc.? Yes, I was in a band, like in a choir, a few times in high school, especially in the early years while I was in intermediate, building up from that as well. Along with also, in saying this, I was in a computer club, basically, and some other outdoor curricular stuff. Did you ever did when you were in high school? Yes, I did participate in sports. Even though PE in New Zealand, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in our curriculum it is, you know, recommended that was supposed to be compulsory, is the word I'm looking for. So in saying this, I did a bit of sports in my time. Like I played for hockey leading up till, you know, when I finished intermediate, so I did it through primary, intermediate. Then in high school, I tried to participate as much as I could in school of student sports, even though, yeah, okay, in high school, let's be honest, I am still to this day not good at swimming. They used to have swimming sports day and some other bits and pieces that requires us to try and participate as a team. Number 12. What is your favourite school meal, if there's any? Back in the time, I remember, like, we did have a canteen and stuff that we can buy food from, even though that the canteen stuff, we were trying to keep it healthy and clean, even though many kids were complaining that they still wanted their fizzies and everything else, so we can't always guarantee that. But if there were any school lunches, I liked the, like, spicy nachos versus the mac and cheese. I remember one time they made, so, you know, that's part of it. Number 13. Did you ever ditch school? Does that mean in a term of lagging? Like most young kids do. I have ditched school for a time period because, well, it's not ditching or lagging. I had a particular reason on one of my high school experiences, basically based on when I was really sick for a week and a bit, and like one of the high school teachers came back over to me and actually just gave me some homework while I was stuck in bed with the real bad bronchitis and whatnot, and I was supposed to sleep obviously, but obviously with this busy brain of mine, it's always on the go. That's why I'm learning right now to try and slow it down right now. 14. What is the craziest thing that has ever happened at school? Could it be not just crazy but embarrassing moment in school? The craziest thing that ever happened in school is like when I used to get bullied a lot, obviously. Like, you know, I have guys, some guys maybe chewing gum in the class, or girls in class chewing gum, as well as chewing paper and putting it in straws and just blow it in my hair or whatever. Another one is basically, I remember another terminal event was basically when I was getting bullied that my clothes were getting stolen during PE sessions, versus basically one time also like having my head down the toilet bowl being flushed for some apparent reason when I was minding my own business during PE and whatever other reason. So therefore basically that's my jam for that one, even though like I said, kids shouldn't be bullied. Number 15. Have you ever been in detention, and what was it for? Yes, as crazy as it may seem that most of us would be, even if I am the silent type, yes, I did. I got a detention for, one, being late for apparent reason out of my control. 2, because I was talking so much in class that I wouldn't shut up, so they had to, you know, put me into a different classroom, obviously. So that was my form of detention, even though some people may think, you know, detention writing lines is just do crazy. But hey, 16. If you've got a picture book of your yearbook picture, what would it be? Well, as I said, I don't have my yearbooks with me. Most of my yearbooks is stored away, probably still with my parents. But my quote for that time was basically, you never stop learning because you never know what you're going to try for, or aim high. 17. What do you like the most about yourself? When I was in high school, there is a few things that I liked about high school, and obviously a bit of hate about my schools, which will wrap it up to number 18, what I hate the most about my school. But first part of the question, of the answer to it, is what I like about it was there was a bit of different variety, and like especially for my first year in high school before we moved away to where my parents are located now, that the teachers were really supportive. Obviously they were willing to go the extra mile for me of my learning capacity, obviously because of me acing through certain lessons. I always got top marks of certain things, so they ended up wanting to put me into some other programs, but I didn't even take them up, which sadly I should have. 17. What don't you like about school? When I was in high school, basically, what I didn't like was obviously the bullying, and like a few times I witnessed a few other students in my classroom being bullied, but they were trying to handle it, and like the principal that we used to have just dismissed it, thinking that just because he's a smaller guy he can tolerate it, they're just playing, they're having fun and stuff. But to me, and obviously from what my parents witnessed outside the principal window, it didn't look like he was actually having a bit of fun in that, because obviously he was like me at the time, minding his own business, doing his own thing, which sadly it still goes on today, I guess, in most countries as well as not just New Zealand. But I guess the bullying now, anti-bullying campaign should have come out and about and actually put a stop to that front. What's your favourite number 19? Well, back in high school, basically, I had a few favourite teachers, one of which was my French teacher, Madame Hitler. Even though she's not there, as well as many other ones that were there. I liked Mr. Crayford, the music teacher, back in the days where I was for my first year of school in the Manawatu where I am, which I didn't want to disclose where I am, but it's somewhere in the Manawatu. But in saying this, Mr. Crayford made it fun for music, trying to make it easier to learn, even if there was keyboards, guitars, drums, sax, whatever form of musical instrument. He'll give us a go on most of these things and whatnot. Number 20. Give your best advice on surviving high school. When it comes down to growing up, being a teenager, it can be sure as hell tough. Yes, you might find that you don't fit in. You shouldn't have to fit in. Just be yourself. Be true to yourself, as well as hopefully being true to others. Just don't wear a mask and pretend you're not someone who you're not, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like, yes, people may judge you and criticize you about your differences and whatnot, but just tough it out and actually ignore those type ones and prove to yourself that you're better than them, and you can rise above these bullies if you were ever bullied or you are being bullied in your first thing, because what comes around goes around. So therefore, I'm sure that whatever you learn also will come into play for when you come into the real world of adulthood, and actually hope for the best that things will get better. Well, this quickly ends, even though it's a real long one, my high school tag video. Smash the like button, comment below. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites. Feel free to share these videos around. Feel free to give this a go if you want to. As I said, feel free to also, if you haven't done so and want to be part of my journey, subscribe. And then while you're down there, after making that decision, no pressure, basically to turn on the notification bell so that you know when my next few contents are coming out. So, and for the guys also, in saying this, as I said, I'll be out and about and floating about in some groups on Facebook and whatnot. So don't forever fret if you don't see a video, because as I said, my schedule may be subject to change as of maybe coming week of whatever. it may come down to 2-3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or just Monday, Wednesday, time dependent, regardless how I feel as well. While I'm trying to have my week or two off for mental health replenishment, if you get me, guys. Which we do deserve to try and give ourselves a break when we work hard and, you know, strive for perfection or whatever it may be. So enough for the do, guys. Thanks for your support. Thanks for joining with me so far. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.